Right, expensive scandal time again, folks, and this time it couldn't be a nicer person in the frame for being on the take at public expense, as its detention centre and deportation queen, Suella Braverman, in the frame. As it emerges, she's charged no less than £25,000 worth of domestic bills to all of us. Can you remember when she was running to be Tory leader not so long ago, and she said there was a benefit street culture and she wanted to cut welfare spending? No doubt it wouldn't have applied to her, though. Wouldn't have applied to that peak level of scrounging that is MPs and ministerial expenses. She's been milking the system regarding her living arrangements. Braverman lives in London, yet is the MP for Fareham in Hampshire. She claims the expenses MPs are entitled to do to cover her bills. She's hardly the only MP to charge her gas and electric and the like to expenses, but given she as the Home Secretary is on some £160,000 a year, it's a bit of a cheek to have us paying those bills for her, isn't it? This is her main residence, this London property, of course, but her constituency responsibilities being elsewhere, she does need somewhere else to stay whilst in Fareham, and she stays in a property owned by Mummy and Daddy, rent-free. The purpose of this expense allowance in normal practice for MPs whose constituencies are outside of London is so they are not out of pocket by having to run two homes, or one home and one lodgings, however they work it. But Braverman is abusing this allowance, it would appear, because although she fits the criteria in being an MP outside of London with a residence in London, London is her main home and she has no rental costs while staying in Fareham. Therefore, Braverman is claiming money which should be spent on rent in her constituency, but because she incurs no costs there, she's claiming the money anyway, but spending it on her London bills instead. It's within the rules. She's not doing anything wrong here, but exploiting said rules for personal gain? Absolutely she is, it seems to me. She says she pays all her bills at the property she uses in Fareham, but rent isn't one of those costs, so hardly the point. By all accounts, she isn't even off there very often either. It is estimated by doing what she is doing, 80% of her household bills for her main residence, which is a £1.2 million pad in leafy Hertfordshire, will be paid by us. And over the last 5 years that she's been doing this, the total we've helped her out by comes in at around £25,000. So how has she done it? Well, in 2015, she was elected the MP for Fareham and claimed for her home there £995 per month. 2 years later, in March 2017, her parents, then living in North London, bought a house in Fareham, mortgage-free, for £287,000. At the same time, they registered that family home in North London as a house of multiple occupancy. Moving on to the September of that year, and Braverman ceased to rent in Fareham, as she had been, claiming she was fully funding accommodation herself there now, and instead started claiming for a flat in Westminster. In June 2019, she moved out of the flat and into a house believed to be that of her husband, who she married the year before, yet bizarrely wasn't apparently living with him still, and by doing so, flipped her expenses from her flat to this house. She continued to say her Fareham accommodation was fully funded by herself. The following year, she flipped her accommodation expenses again to the current home in Hertfordshire, still claiming she was fully funding her accommodation in Fareham, except, of course, we know now that she's been living in this house in Fareham her parents bought. And, well, have they ever lived there themselves, or was it bought specifically for her? And if that's the case, was this expenses rule-bending, let's call it, pre-planned? Questions to answer. And the people of Fareham, well, they've got an opportunity just tomorrow to put this to her, perhaps. I wrote the other month about the fact that due to boundary changes coming up, Braverman was at risk of losing her seat due to it being amalgamated with the seat of a fellow Tory MP, the backbencher Flick Drummond, the new seat to be called Fareham and Waterlooville. Even at that point, the mood music was that Drummond was favoured over Braverman, who it is said does not engage well with local casework and seems more fixated on building on her own career, no longer even living locally, of course. The head-to-head over which MP will be selected to stand for the Tories in this new seat is tomorrow, 5th of April. She's been on a big schmoozing campaign and apparently has been closing the gap on her Tory rival, but with an expenses scandal hanging over Braverman's head now, whether it's permitted or not, it still stinks. It'd be a shame if local Tories were made more aware of this story ahead of that showdown, wouldn't it? Thanks for watching. If you appreciated this video, please do hit like and subscribe, leave a comment, and hit the notification bell too, so you don't miss the next one. Also, look out for me on social media and other interesting stuff by clicking on the link in the comments below, and I will see you next time. Cheers, folks.